Hey guys, it's Tyson Popplestone here, and welcome to what's a little taste tester of things to come on Intention. This is going to be a little space where each and every week we discuss what it means to live an intentional life in a world that's obsessed with more. Maybe you know what I mean, earning a little bit more money and working a little bit more and accumulating a little bit more. Not that there's necessarily anything wrong with those things, but I think sometimes when we find a whole purpose and value in those, when we get to a point where we thought we'd be happy and we're still a little discontent, we get anxious and stressed and a little bit disconcerted about where it is that we actually find value. That's what this podcast is going to be about. I want to look at where it is that value in our life is really found. To do that, some weeks I'm going to chat with people I find interesting about why they do the things they do, why they live the way they live. The idea there is to hopefully leave those conversations with a fresh sense of excitement and be equipped with the tools and strategies that they've used in their own life to find out where value is found, and hopefully allow us to implement that in our own life to be able to do the same thing. When I'm not speaking to guests, other weeks I'm going to be chatting with you guys by myself about the things that are adding value to my own life, the books, the podcasts, the documentaries, the thoughts, the things that I've just coming by that are just really increasing my perspective and excitement about the world. Today I sit back with a great mate of mine, Matt Powell, and though we're just discussing things to come in the future of this podcast, we also delve into the fact that Matt Powell is going to be a regular guest on this show. Now, the cool thing about Matt Powell is every time I leave this guy, I have a fresh sense of excitement about life, and I feel like I get a real fresh sense of clarity on where the really important things in my own life are found. I've got no doubt that through the conversations, Matty's going to leave you with a fresh sense of excitement, as he does with me. So, guys, if you like what you hear, make sure you share it with your friends. There's obviously going to be a whole lot of stuff that we cover in the months and years to come. Things like health and relationships and travel and spirituality, stuff that there's no way I could possibly cover in a 3-minute introduction to what is the Intention podcast. But this is basically just to say welcome, to say hello, to say thanks for coming. The podcast officially launches next week. So if you like it, don't forget to let your mates know about it. Apart from that, to get a little more insight into what this space is going to be about, enjoy this short, sweet conversation I have with a great man, Matt Powell.
I'm the soul challenger, I'm the road damager. Now behold the cold and the straight magical. Cause the sky brings fires and the strong grow weary. The heroes spill blood in the blast and a fury. Pray on the power and pray to your father. Cause all of the quakes in the universe resonate to your heart.
London studio.
Yeah, the studio.
What it's officially been called.
Yeah.
Even though for those listening, it's a London studio apartment with a kitchen, a bed, a cupboard, a dining room table.
It works. Yeah, 100%.
I thought it'd be a good opportunity just to catch up and talk a little bit about what this space is going to be.
Let's do it, yeah. Like an intro, let's do it.
Man, I think one of the biggest things, so people who've been following the journey for a little while will see that I got a blog up and running earlier this year, The Art of Intention, just where we look at what it means to live an intentional lifestyle in a world obsessed with busy.
Yeah, let's be super lame. So Tyus is talking over there. I'm Matt. Sorry, bro. Keep going.
Started this blog earlier this year where I just spoke about the ways that we can live an intentional lifestyle in a world that's just too busy, too anxious, too stressed, too worried. And just, it was almost like a journal. It was a journey where we basically just walked through the tools and strategies and techniques that can help us, find ways to live a more intentional lifestyle.
Happy days.
The blog picked up a little bit of traction, which has been nice. So we thought, hey, you know what? Nice meeting you in Cinque Terre.
Yeah, that's it.
Thought we'd take it another step further with the podcast.
Mate, 100%. I know in the first episode we talk about serendipity, and we can maybe talk about it in more detail in future. And hopefully people listening out there, there are sometimes people in your life where you just kind of have this vibe, or sometimes you meet for a reason, and it's not everyone. It's only maybe just a handful of people in your life, but bro, why did we meet on that exact same day down in Cinque Terre? You know what I mean? I know we still kind of can't get our heads around it, but I think this was maybe sort of towards that direction. And I 100% agree. So for this intro, I think the message is just why should people give us a go and listen to the next 3 or 4 episodes and just see if they like it or not?
Yeah, man.
So I agree, mate. Just hopefully we can just provide some interesting chat, some good vibes, little bit of wisdom,
Yeah.
maybe some hot tips, some handy tips.
Yeah.
And I think also just like reflection, you know what I mean? Like, we're not just going to sit here and talk shit about the footy scores on the weekend or whatever. Occasionally, you know, we'll have some cool little stories, whatever. But essentially, cool, interesting, reflective chat that people don't necessarily have as much these days because, like you said, there's so many distractions and whatnot. And then hopefully they can take bits and pieces and have these, at least thoughts in a dialogue and even conversations with their friends about what really matters in life, perhaps.
That's a great point. Well, I know one thing that I always notice when I leave a conversation with you is I always feel almost refreshed and a new level of enthusiasm about life and excitement about the things that I'm stepping into and the things that I'm working on. And I think
I feel the same.
Man. And I think it'd just be really nice to be able to talk about a lot of the stuff that, you know, inspires both you and I.
Yeah.
About the people who are living in a way that we admire, in a way that we would like to live. And hopefully the people listening can walk away with a new level of clarity, a new level of direction, a new level of hope for their own lives and what it is they want to achieve.
Yeah, I 100%, man. And like everyone's journey, everyone's on a different level, different stage. And for some of, look, I look back at my own life, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, where this sort of maybe just started, when I started to think, obviously we were much younger back then, but it just starts with like the first question. And maybe we can help some of the listeners just with like throwing out some of these questions and some of these topics and be like, you know what, man, maybe that could be like a different alternative, or that is a cool idea, or maybe I will do that on the weekend, or maybe I will step out of my comfort zone, whatever it might be, you know, just, it all starts with like the one little kind of introduction or little step or little thing. So hopefully we can talk about a lot of those things and maybe inspire people.
That sounds amazing. I think one of the cool things as well, it's going to be a space where we just have an opportunity to speak to interesting people week in, week out about why they do the things they do, why they live the way they live, and hopefully both ourselves and the listeners glean a little bit of insight, as to some changes that we could make in our own lives, and some steps we can take in our own lives towards a lifestyle that we want to live. And then other weeks, me and you will catch up and chat, and it's exciting. I'm pumped because it's going to be a space where every few weeks we catch up and talk together. Other times we're going to catch up with other guests. Other time it'll just be me and a guest. It's really flexible, man.
Right.
And the field's open. It's going to be
man.
exciting just to see where it goes.
It's a journey. Episode 1, let's hopefully come back in 6 months' time or whatever, and maybe have 20 up our belt, under our sleeves, and just, it'd be awesome, man.
Well, give us a bit of an idea of some of the stuff you'd be excited to talk about.
Oh, man, where do we start? Like, just things, like I said, man, just meaningful chat, just a little bit of wisdom. I think as well, it's important to tell people, like, I'm 29, you're 29, we're just a couple of young Aussie dudes, maybe just kind of sort of figuring shit out a little bit. Like, we're not definitely preaching or anything like that, or saying like this is what you should do or whatever. It's just like I said, it's just you and I having an interesting conversation, just bouncing off each other. I suppose things I want to talk about, it's just kind of a little bit of life experience, just some tips, self-improvement, self-development, the mind, healthy living, things like this, you know what I mean? Relationships. Man.
It's exciting times. I think there's an endless amount of stuff we can talk about, and we've got a couple of podcasts lined up, and we've done a few ourselves where I think we really delve into that in a little bit more detail. But this space is just about giving a bit of a shout out to say to you guys, hey, this is what we're about, this is what we're going to be talking about. So if you're interested, hang around for a few weeks, come back, check in, see what it is we've got to say, see whether there's something that you might be able to take away.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Man, I think that's probably sounds good to me.
Beautiful, brother. Well, it's
All right,
good. I'm excited for it.
Bring it on. Sweet, bro.
Round 1. Till next time. Thanks for stopping by, guys. To listen, subscribe, and everything else, visit TysonPopplestone.com. I'll see you next week.